The Total War Bannerlord 1.2.8 update is here and ready to play, and today we're going to dive in, completely take a look at all the brand new units, the new additions to Lemmy's Europe mod, along with everything else the mod has to offer. If you've not heard of this mod before and this is the first time it's popping up, because I don't believe it is on Nexus mods, currently it's only available over on their Discord, but you can download it and install it very easily. It is a mod set in the 300s BCs, basically along the rise of the Romans. There are plenty of other factions to mess around with, as you can see with the awesome open source map that Lemmy has created with Europe. This mod basically goes ahead and excels, and I know a lot of people out there really do like the Roman mods that are already in Bannerlord. However, they kind of get turned off because it's not a big old Europe mod map. Well, this goes ahead and scratches that itch. So I guess first things first, let's take a look at the new additions to Lemmy's Europe mod map, because that's going to be the main basis of where you're going to be playing this entire campaign on if you choose to go ahead and kick up with this alpha test. As you can see, Lemmy has gone ahead and spent a lot of time implementing roads across Europe, which I really like. All these additions to the map, it just adds so much, and this is something I've been asking for from Lemmy since he, I guess, went and began this project to create a Europe map for everybody to use. And yeah, these new additions just look absolutely awesome. I love the roads. It's really awesome that they are now finally in. I think immediately it adds just so much extra flavor to the map, which is really cool. Not only that, he has also added in several new settlements, so do keep in mind this map isn't designed to have a Roman pre-BC era kind of map involved. This is just a Europe map with a underlying medieval theme, so a lot of these settlements, etc., are going to be placed in the areas that they would be in the medieval era. So obviously for an ancient mod like this, it's going to mean they have to kind of work with what they have. However, I believe Lemmy has added in something like 6, 7, 8 more settlements to the map, just the pre-existing terrain of the map. On top of that, he has also gone ahead and implemented all the extra land out here to the far east, which is great, along with more settlements, and I think he's even added in some extra additions up here in the north of Scandinavia, which is great for the overall theme of the map. This is obviously one of the major points for using Lemmy's Europe map in an ancient setting, is like stuff like Sparta, for example, and a lot of the Greek settlements aren't going to be as flourished as they would be, say. So for example, right now the Spartans, their castle is based on Crete, just because there isn't a castle on mainland in the southern parts of Greece that would be good for Sparta, and Sparta is just a village. So you do just have to keep that in mind when you are playing this, but I think it's a totally perfect exchange. It goes ahead and means that the developers don't have to worry massively about creating a custom map, and then they can focus more of their time on getting all the awesome armors and assets in, because oh boy do they have tons of armors and assets in for every single faction. It's actually really impressive the amount of equipment that we actually currently have in. So the dev team do work alongside stuff like Eagle Rising, the guy who makes the awesome armors in Ancient Armory, and tons of other supporters and other mod creators to basically create a very cool set of factions of people. For example, right here the Macedonians look absolutely beautiful, and we have several different types of armors for all the Macedonian units. They look very cool, and they actually have a functioning pike, which again adds a lot into the mod for this faction. Again, we can see the Macedonian cavalry again looking very good as we go up to the tier 3s that are just very deadly. And what this mod does, which is pretty interesting, is they have two different types of recruitment. They have urban recruitment, which is going to be your elite phalanxes and a lot more of your like wealthier soldiers that you recruit from your towns, from your cities. And then if you make your way over to say a village, you're going to go ahead and find your rural recruitment, and these guys are going to be different troops that you're going to be able to recruit from the rural recruitment. I actually don't think it's actually in for the Macedonians quite yet, but if we go over to say the Romans, they definitely have it in. So if you go to a village and recruit from a village, you're going to have basically these lower tier Astartes, skirmishers, slingers, and again lighter kind of like mercenary Po Valley cavalry. And then if you go to Rome itself, you're going to then be recruiting from the elite, the Principes, the Chiarii, and other units like that. So that's, I think, in for the majority of factions. I guess it isn't in for Macedon quite yet, but I know it's in for a lot of other factions, a lot of the Spanish factions, a lot of the Gallic factions, and again the Carthaginians as well. The Carthaginians have a very interesting roster because they have obviously just such a diverse amount amount of soldiers that they can recruit from, and it really is diverse. Like again, their urban recruitment is going to be a lot of these soldiers. There is also another type that we'll find in a second, but then if we make our way over to say the villages, their rural recruitment is going to be a lot of these like Libyan tribesmen and a lot of other soldiers in their unit rosters as well. And this brings me on to my next point of why this is a very, very awesome mod, is because there are not really these massive empires to begin the game. Like even if you take a look at Rome, you know, Rome is just 2 clans at the beginning, and it really does go ahead and create a very kind of interesting dynamic. Again, Carthage, they have 2 clans and about 4 or 5 cities. How many cities does Rome have at the beginning of the game? They have 2 settlements to go ahead and build up from. Over here in the west, like a lot of the Spanish tribes are going to be pretty small. Again, 4 settlements. So it provides a very kind of, I guess, blank slate to build an empire from wherever you really, really want to, which I always thought was a very kind of unique thing about the mods. Another big addition to this update is a complete rework to how the Persians look, and I've got to say, this is a very, very impressive roster. They've done a really good job with this. So this is going to be the urban recruitment for the Persian forces, and they look amazing. They've done a great job with the look of the Persians. Again, there are a whole mix of assets here as well, some from Eagle Rising, I assume some from ancient civilizations, and some other ones just made specifically for the mod, but they've done a great job at combining these, and you can see, again, looks really awesome. The Persian roster is very interesting, and I think will perform very well on the battlefield. Then if we take a look at the rural recruitment, again, you can see this little setup. This definitely reminds me of Eagle Rising. I'm not sure if the guy who reworked the Persian roster has also worked on the Eagle Rising mod to create this, because this definitely reminds me very much of that mod and their new way of like setting up the unit trees, which I think are really good. Like I definitely would love to see this for every faction. It's not overcomplicated. It's kind of a nice contrast between their urban recruitment and their rural recruitment. You know, it's just kind of like, there, you want to go get heavy spears, you go down this route. You want some horse archers, you go down this route, etc. Like, it's very nice. It's not overcomplicated, and I think the units look amazing. They've done a great job with these units, and again, the Persians are definitely one of the best looking factions so far. Okay, so we are now in a battle. So basically just show off some of the units. I've got a mix of like Greek and Persian units, the new Persian shields, and I just think in general the new Persian units look really, really nice, especially if you see them in like a shield wall. Then tower shields look amazing. I mean, look at that. That is actually a decently fortified position. We also have our pike line as well. The pikes are a little bit funky, but they do actually work pretty well in battle. And then we also, as we go back, have all of our phalanx units as well. We zoom in and take a look at them. You can see the phalanx working pretty well. So this mod also does use RBM, so that will make battles just dramatically better in general. And I think phalanxes work very well, and they also look amazing as well. I mean, I think that shield wall looks really, really cool with the phalanxes. We even have our elite cavalry as well. A lot of the, I think these are Macedonian horses, and again, yeah, they're the high passes, so they look awesome. And what else do you want to play Macedon pikes and cavalry, right? So as we're marching up to engage the enemy, I will also say as well, so this mod has made some really good headway just in general with it being updated to 1.2, all the new unit armors and assets and stuff, but it does, like, I'm going to be completely honest, does still have a long way to go. Like, for example, a lot of the characters in the game are still in vanilla clothes and stuff. Like, a lot of the generals you run into, many of them are still in vanilla, and that's something that they are working through. It's just maybe not necessarily as high priority. Again, a lot of the factions, like maybe some factions should be a lot bigger than they are in the game. I think, for example, the faction in the Byzantine lands, they do have like 4 kingdoms, but yeah, it'd be cool to see maybe them utilizing diplomacy to maybe create something and like these unique kingdoms to kind of to actually go and represent like a lot of subjugation and stuff like that happening at this time. On top of that, the mod doesn't really have tons of like unique features quite yet either, so that is something you're going to be lacking if you are looking for more content like that. That is something you're going to be missing out on, because yeah, as I said, the mod doesn't really have anything like very like unique mechanics or anything like that, besides obviously their recruitment system, but I mean like actually like stuff to do outside of Bannerlord stuff. But of course, the battles are great, and I think that's going to be the main reason reason that you do decide to go and download this and play this is going to be for the battles, going to be for the Europe map, and it's going to be for these epic engagements, you know, across the ancient world. Again, a nice little close-up right here. I mean, it looks awesome, right? Oh my god, look at my Persians getting absolutely hammered by the Roman line. Again, I guess we can take a look at some of the Roman units as well. So again, the Romans, this is going to be early Roman Republic. Again, a lot of the units are going to be heavily reliant on spears, and only really just starting to go into more of the Principe setup. They got slings back here as well, with some, by the looks of it, some Sake like Persian archers. Don't know how they quite got them. Again, the pikes, so we'll basically tell everybody to charge in. So again, you can kind of see how the pikes do work in there. The phalanxes are going to be very defensive. The Persians moving their way in, and again, the pikes, they work well enough, you know. They have, because of RBM, that longer strike, and that formation, the way they hold it as well, is quite nice. Definitely still needs some refining, but I think it does a good enough job with it. And because RBM is at use, realistic battle mod, it does provide with more interesting combat, I guess, when it does come to that. It means heavily armored units really excel, and you're not just getting slaughtered by incoming enemy units, which again, like incoming enemy missile fire, which again, I think is a big boon to the mod. So that is going to wrap things up for this video. As I said, I'll leave a link to download this mod down below in the description. Definitely worth your time, especially if you're looking for like an ancient era Roman mod on a kind of Europe map, which obviously we do have, and obviously off into the east as well, which is really cool. Again, it's a big draw. I also did see, I think on their forum, that they are planning on maybe combining and trying to utilize and make themselves compatible with Banner Kings, which would be very interesting and a very exciting move, because as I said, that would add a lot of depth and flavor to the mods. And also, Banner Kings have recently just come out with their own technology system, which would be great for this era, kind of progressing through and maybe even hitting, like, I know obviously Marian Reforms are much further along, but kind of hitting that point I think would be really interesting. So yeah, be sure to go over to the download link, go check it out for yourself, go give them feedback, because again, that's one of the other big pulls about this mod, is they are still very much in the early stages, so they are very open to suggestions, people telling them like, oh, this could be really cool if you did this, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's actually a good idea. So definitely go give them some advice, help them along the way. Again, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, drop a comment. If you want to maybe see me play this on a live stream or two, let me know down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.